Hi guys, welcome to the Unit 6 first test review. We're going to focus on just getting really good at 2 terms, then 4 terms, and 3 terms. So we're going to kind of go in that order, and then we'll end up with solving word problems, stuff like that. Okay, so to start off, when you have 2 terms, there's only 2 things that you can really factor, or 2 ways to really factor. First of all is factoring out a GCF. So if you notice, these both have a 3x to the third in common, and so we end up with that. The second is difference of squares, so that means finding the square root. So the square root of 9x squared is 3x, so that goes there. And the square root of 4 is 2, that goes there. Notice that 1 is minus and 1 is plus. Okay, so as we go through here, I'm not going to do all of these, but I will kind of target a couple that I feel would be good to know for the test, and then I'll give you the answer key for the rest. Okay, so number 1, I noticed that I can't take the square root of either of them. So I am going to factor the GCF. So the first thing that I notice is that they have a 5 in common. And then I'm going to take the smallest of the variables. So they have a 5 and an x in common. So I'm going to pull out that 5x, and I'm left with 2 over here, and then minus 3x squared. Okay. So that is your answer. That's all you have to do on that one. On number 2, the first thing that I noticed is because of that guy right there, I need to pull out a negative. And then I also notice that they have a 2x in common. So it's going to be 2x. Anything over itself is 1. So 1 plus, 2x squared, like that. Okay, let's keep going. So this one, I noticed that as a 4 in common. So I'm going to be left with 2x minus 3. And this one also has a 4 in common. And so I'm going to be left with 2 minus y. Okay, let's go down to the next one. So let's see. I see that these have a 3 in common, and they have an a. And let's see, they have a b in common. So I'm going to pull out a 3ab. And then what's left over? Well, those cancel, those cancel. So I end up with a b minus 2a. And that's our answer. This one I can factor out, let's see, a 5xy. And I'm left with, 2 for that term, and then minus 3xy for that one. Okay, number 7, I can factor out a 7, and I can also factor out an r squared and an s. So that's going to become my GCF. And then I have 3, let's see, it looks like I have 1 r left over there, and then minus 2. And I believe that is it. Okay, this one looks really scary, but it's really not. I can factor out a 4, and then I'm just going to take the smallest of the exponents. So an x to the 10th. So 4x to the 10th is my GCF, and I'm left with a 6x plus 1 on the inside of the parentheses. Okay, now let's switch gears a little bit. And we're going to talk about when you can solve by square roots. So this one is going to be x minus 3, x plus 3. This one, I'm going to take the square root, and it's going to be x minus 6, x plus 6. And it doesn't matter if you move around these. So if you had x plus 6 times x minus 6, that's okay as well. Number 11, I'm going to take the square root of 121. That's 11, so it's going to be x minus 11, x plus 11. And number 12, look at that. I can take the square root of that. That's 8x, and the square root of that is 9. So 8x minus 9, 8x plus 9. Let's go down here. So I have a 3x minus 5 and a 3x plus 5. Over here, same thing. I'm going to take the square root. So I have 12x minus 7 and 12x plus 7. The square root of 225 is 15. So I'm going to say x minus 15 and x plus 15. And then finally, number 16 is x minus 10 and x plus 10. Okay, that is it for the first page. Let's go to the next page where we're going to kind of switch it up a little bit. Oops. So we're going to jump to 4 terms. So 4 terms, you can do the box if you like that, or you can do factor by grouping. So let's see. So if I did the box, I'm going to factor out, let's see, what do these have in common? What do I want to pull out? I'm going to pull out an x squared here. And if that's x squared, that has to be a 2x. And if that's a 2x, that has to be a negative 5. And that has to be a negative 1. So I'm going to be left with 2x minus 1 and then x squared minus 5. Let's do number 18. So again, if you like the box, I'll do it that way. So let's see, I'm going to factor out again, I like the x squared there. So this is going to be a 2x, and if that's 2x, this has to be 4, and if that's a 4, that's 1. So I have, let's see, 2x plus 1 and x squared plus 4. Notice this is a plus. If this were a minus, I could actually take that further, but I'm just stuck there. Okay. So again, 5x squared, 15x, 10x, 30. And if I factor out a GCF, let's see, I like that. That's 5x squared. Ooh, look at this. Okay, so I'm going to erase what I have. I just noticed this, that these, they have a GCF that we can factor out, and I didn't see that. So do you see how I can take a 5 out of everything? Let's go ahead and do that first, and then we'll kind of go from there. So this is 5. I've got an x squared plus 3x plus 2x plus 6. Okay, let's try that. So that's what I want to put in my box. So I'm going to factor out, let's see, I like that. That's x, so that's x. So that has to be 3, and that has to be 2. So I'm going to keep that 5 there, and I have an x plus 3 times an x plus 2. Like that. Okay, let's keep it going. So I have, let's see, a 9p to the third, 3p squared, 15p, and 5. I'm going to factor out, let's see, a 3p there. So that has to be a 3p. If that's a 3p, that's a 5. And if that's a 5, that has to be 1. Let's see if that works. Ooh, no, that does not work. Oh, right there. Okay. I didn't put my squared there. Okay, let's make sure. That's why just double checking to make sure everything works is the best way to go. Don't get lazy about that. So I have 3p plus 1 and then 3p squared plus 5. Okay, we're going to keep it going. Okay, so I have, let's see, I'm going to pull out an m squared here. So that's 2m. If that's 2m, that's 2. And that has to be minus 1. So I have 2m minus 1, and then m squared plus 2. And finally, our last one. Okay, let's see. I'm going to factor out, let's see, I like this one. I'm going to factor out a 3x, so that has to be 2x squared. If that's 2x, that has to be a 5, and that has to be 1. So I have 2x squared plus 1, and then 3x plus 5. Whew, okay, we're going to keep it moving. With 3 terms, you're always going to factor out a GCF if you can, and then you can do factor by grouping or the box method again. So this one, oh, and notice when there's no number in front of it, I don't have to do the box or anything. I can just do the X and then transfer it over to my answer. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. So let's see, this is going to be 2 minus 3. So 2 and 1, that has to be -2, -1. So my answer is a minus 2 right there, and then a minus 1 right there. Let's try this one. So this one, 48 and -16. And so let's see, I think that's -12 and -4. Let's see, yep, that works. So I'm going to say x minus 12 and x minus 4. Let's keep it going. So this one, so 7 and 8, 7 and 1, so 7, or x plus 7 and x plus 1. And then this one is going to be -2, -1. Let's see. We want this to be negative. So I'm going to say x minus 2 and x plus 1. Okay. Now, this next row, you can't do that because there's a number in front of it. So now we have to do the box or factor by grouping or whatever. So let's go ahead and do that. So this is going to be 14 and 1. So this is going to replace our middle term. So I'm going to have 2x squared and then 14x. Oops, sorry, I don't know why I put a t. And then x and then 7. Okay, let's see. I'm going to factor out an x there, so that means that has to be 2x. If that's 2x, that has to be a 7, and that has to be 1. So my final answer for that one is going to be, let's see, x plus 7 right there, and then 2x plus 1. Okay, let's do the next one. So I can't factor out a GCF or anything. So let's see, that's going to be 36, 9, and 4, and -9, +4. And this is going to replace that middle term. So 3x squared minus 9x plus 4x minus 12. That's going to be a 3x, so that's an x. That's a 4, and that has to be a -3. Yep, so I have x minus 3 times 3x plus 4. Okay, let's do this next one. So let's see, 18 and 11, so that's going to be 9 and 2. And so I have my box. So I'm going to factor out a 9x here, so that has to be an x, so that has to be a 2, and that has to be 1. So I have x plus 1, and then 9x plus 2. And finally, the last one, this is 21, -22. So -21, -1. And then I'm going to do the box. 7x squared minus 21x, that's 1, and then minus x plus 3. I like this one, so I'm going to factor out an x there, so that has to be 7x, and that has to be -3, and so that makes that -1. So I have 7x minus 1, and then x minus 3. Okay, so 31 and 32 are very much like the ones that we've just done. So I just put the answers down. So 31 is 3x minus 2 times 6x plus 1, and 32 is 4x plus 1 times x minus 2. And for 33, 33 and 34, I want to talk about. So notice that 33, I can take out a 10. That's the first thing that's jumping out at me. So I can factor out a 10. So I'm going to have x squared minus 8x. plus 15. And then I'm just going to take that further. And so when you factor that, 2 factors of 15 that add to give me negative 8. So remember, this is the one that I just do the little box for. Sorry, I don't have to do the box for. I just do the x. So let's see, that's going to be 5 and 3, negative 5, negative 3. So that goes right there. And that whole thing is my answer. Okay, this one, 34, I can factor out, ooh, not a 12. Let's try that again. I can factor out a 3. And then I can also factor out, look at your exponents. I'm going to factor out the smallest, so 3x to the 4th. And so I have a 4x squared, let's see, right here, plus 9x plus 20. And if I tried to factor that, I'm going to tell you right now, it won't factor anymore. So if you have a case like that, you just have to stop there and you're good. Okay, let's talk about solving. So solving, this is very, very important. You have to make sure it's equal to 0. So let's look at 35. So I don't like that 3 over there, so I'm just going to move it over. So it looks like that. So basically, if it's positive over here, it's going to become negative when it like moves across. Okay, so I'm going to factor this. So 6, nope. That's 3 and 2, and this is going to be a negative 1. Oops. Okay, so this is going to be my middle terms. So I'll do the box again. Oops. And then negative 3x and 2x. Okay, so that's a square. Let's see. I'm going to take out this one here. So I see that has an x a common, so that has a 2x. If that's a 2x, that's a 1. And if that's a 1, that's a negative 3. So I have 2x minus 3 times x plus 1. And don't forget, we have to set each piece equal to 0. So I'm going to come up here. So 2x minus 3 is equal to 0, and x plus 1 is equal to 0. So if I solve for this x, I get x equals negative 1. If I solve for this x, I get positive 3 over 2. Okay. On this one, we're going to talk about this in a second because this shows up on the test. I want to make sure that you know what to do there. So on this one, let's see, I'm going to do the x, and notice I don't have to do the box, which is super nice. Okay, so let's see, 15 and 8, so 5 and 3. And so I'm going to have x minus 5, x minus 3. So x is equal to 5 after I set that equal to 0, and x is equal to 3. On your test, it's going to say find the sum of the solutions. So I'm going to add 5 plus 3 together. So my final answer is 8. Okay, and the last thing we're going to do is word problems. This is our last lesson that we did. And don't forget, like this formula is going to be on the test. You just have to know like how to plug it in. So v velocity, that's your speed, that's going to go there. This is your like where do you start, where do you end. So on number 37, notice how we start on the ground and we end on the ground. So both of these are going to be zeros in this case. So I'm going to say negative 16t squared plus 32t plus 0 is equal to 0. And then I'm going to divide, notice this is a negative, so I have to divide out the negative. And this is like, I really don't even need that. So I'm just going to get rid of that. Oops. I'm just going to say equal 0. So let's see, I'm going to take out a negative 16, and I'm also going to take out a t. So I have negative 16t. That's going to leave me with a t minus 2. And when I set this equal to 0, I get x is equal, or t is equal to 0. And when I set this equal to 0, I get t is equal to 2. So my answer would be 2 seconds. Okay, number 38 is like another one on your test. And this deals with the area of a rectangle. So area equals length times width. So let's see. I know that the length is 15 meters more than the width, and the area is 54 meters squared. So I'm going to say length times width is equal to 54. And so I have to subtract that 54 over, and I'm going to distribute this. So let's see, I'll do this in different color. So I'm going to say W squared plus 15W minus 54 is equal to 0. I'm going to find the factors of 54 that kind of feel like subtracting, right? So 18 and 3, and we want that to be a negative. And remember, since there's like a 1 in front of here, we can just factor as we see it. So I'm going to say W plus 18 and then W minus 3. And notice anytime it's a plus, that's going to give me a negative answer, so I don't want that. So I know that my width is 3. So if this is 3, that is 18. So to answer the question, dimensions of a rectangle, I'm going to say 3 meters by 18 meters. Okay, and then finally, our last one, we have made it. Okay, so I have the formula. This is my V. This is my S, so it's starting at 80 feet high. Whew, 80 feet. Oh my goodness, I hope the cat can jump from 80 feet high. Okay, so we are going to take out a negative. Now let's see what GCF these all have. 16. So if we take out a negative 16, I'm going to have, and really I can just do it to everything and just kind of forget about it. So, and it's just because there's no variable there. So I have t squared minus, let's see, that's going to be 4t minus 5 is equal to 0. So t minus 5 and t plus 1 is equal to 0. Remember, I don't care about that. So t is equal to 5. Oh, that poor cat. It's going to take him 5 seconds to land on the ground. And that is it.